All right. All right, guys. Week 3 is about to get started. We've got, we talked about these single game matchups in the last video, that last video was the Falcons game, right?
Yeah.
That was a very exciting ending. Unfortunate, Tyler Algier got a little bit more work than he typically does. He did end up getting injured, unfortunately. Hopefully he's good, but as a Bijan owner, if he misses a game or two, that's good for fantasy, but I'm not, I hope Tyler's good. But Tyler's a very competent running back, so it's hard to argue when they're getting him a little bit more time, but obviously we want that workhorse running back load for Bijan Robinson. But all that being said, this game did not play out the way we expected. The Atlanta Falcons defense was much better. No AJ Brown, but I still thought that, looking at the spread and whatnot, that the Eagles would be up by quite a bit.
Yeah, I was surprised that Dotson, we hit the Kirk Cousins play because of that last drive, but Dotson only got 1 target and 1 reception the entire game. I was like, he was touted as the wide receiver 2 coming into this game, man. And then it was just all this Cubby or whatever. Yeah, Cubby.
It sounded like they were saying Cubby. That's what I was saying the whole time, and I was like, who is this dude? But yeah, anyways, Bijan, 1 more catch would have probably got it done for us. We got there with Saquon, that play hit, and then so
1-1 for both of us. Yeah,
but we talked about how difficult that was. This is honestly another one of those games that is a little bit difficult to read, but I do feel like we found solid plays for this matchup. We have 4 more. Before we break into them, if you haven't signed up for Underdog yet, they've got 2 specials on the board. I've talked about their alt lines on the mobile app now that are just awesome. They're just continuing to run specials. So if you haven't signed up yet, use code BACKDOOR. You'll get up to $1,000 in bonus cash just for signing up and making your first deposit. And they're going to give you a free pick on top of the discounts that they're just continuing to run. It's just been nonstop discounts and free plays. And I've been getting these boosts, these like 20%, 30% boosts like every day as well that I've been throwing on my slips. Yep. It's been a lot of fun. Just go through the link in the description or use code BACKDOOR. Just make sure you throw that code in one way or the other. I think if you go through our link, you don't have to put a code in, but if it asks you for one, throw in code BACKDOOR and they will hook you up with up to 1,000 bonus cash plus a free pick. And then if you haven't signed up for Prize Picks yet, just use the promo code at the bottom of the screen. They're not an official partner, so not as many goodies as Underdog, but I believe with your first bet, you'll still get $50 bonus cash. So yeah, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave us a like, leave us a comment, and let's talk about these plays we're getting into for Thursday Night Football Week 3. I'm going with Hunter Henry. If you've been watching our fantasy show, I'll be talking about him again tomorrow too in starts of the week. But we talked about Hunter Henry. I don't know, I don't know when we did that Don't Give Up on These Veterans video, but that was
right before week 1, I think.
Yeah, so like a few weeks back. But I've been high on him. I also owned him in Dynasty, so there's a reason I didn't drop him. But I think he's getting heavily utilized in this offense where there's just a bunch of rookies everywhere. So I like him a lot this week for fantasy and for prop plays. I think his line's way too low. This got bumped up from 33.5 to 34.5 while we were getting our picks together, and I'm still taking it over 34.5. And we're getting it at 33.5 on Underdog. And then I'm also taking Braylon Allen. It's inverse. His line's even lower on Prize Picks than it is Underdog. We're getting 8.5 receiving yards and 9.5 on Underdog. So those are my 2 plays. What are you getting into, Jordy?
Yeah, I'm going to be taking Ramondre Stevenson for over 3.5 targets. And I'm taking Breece Hall for over 15 rushing attempts, and that's on Prize Picks. On Underdog, we're taking 15.5 rushing attempts on Breece over, and we're taking Ramondre for over 2.5 receptions. So
I do like that Breece play. I thought it was at 18 earlier when you were thinking about taking it, and I was still just kind of like, yeah, man.
That's actually Ramondre's. Ramondre's are at 18, which I think is a little high because I think they're going to be down in the game, which is why I like the receiving targets. But yeah, Breece at 15 is a steal.
Yeah, and the I think we were talking about it earlier, but I'll pull it up anyways. So we have a 38.5 over under with the Jets favored by 6. So it is kind of interesting that Ramondre is so much higher than Brees if they end up leading this game.
Right.
We're thinking the Jets might be kind of running the clock if they do have a lead, but we'll see how this plays out tomorrow. So yeah, let's get into the plays. So I'll be starting here with Hunter Henry. Oh, I forgot. I might have to pull him back. Oh no, good. They saved it for me. Outlier. I had to restart my computer a second ago, so I was worried I was missing a bunch of this. So there's a lot of plays on the board for Hunter Henry that I like. I mean, so you can kind of choose. I ended up just landing at the receiving yards after looking everything over, but I was looking at his fantasy score at just 8. If he gets into the end zone, that's a lock, but and we don't use that word lightly. But I do believe if he does get a touchdown, there's no way he's not getting 8 on the night. But I ended up going with the receiving yards because overall, there's a little bit of a soft spot there against tight ends. He is coming off of a monster game. He just had 8 receptions on 12 targets, and he turned that into, 109 yards. And I think that, with such an incredible performance like that, we were already high on him coming into the season as a sleeper for fantasy. And I think we just saw a little bit of a breakout here in that game against Seattle. If we take a look at the matchup here, for receiving yards, 17th in receiving yards allowed to tight ends. And one of the reasons we were so high on Hunter Henry is they're just loaded with rookies in their entire wide receiving core. Their oldest wide receiver, the one who has the most tenure with the team, is Demario Douglas, who is in his 2nd year. So Hunter Henry, I believe, is 29 years old. He's been with the Patriots for a few years now, and he was solid back in the day when he played for the Chargers. He was just he was considered one of the up and coming tight ends in the league, and he's still got that. He seems 100% healthy at this point, but he's very athletic, big bodied, smart receiver. And I think that Jacoby Brissett, when he's in these situations where things aren't looking great as far as options for wide receivers to throw to, the tight end is just the easy blanket. We also have Sauce Gardner on the opposite side of the ball, who is going to be focused, I'm guessing, on a receiver, not on the tight end. I don't think they're going to assign Sauce to the tight end. So there's a good chance that it'll be a little bit more difficult for the actual receivers. So I just think these lines are too low. I'll take 34.5 all day. His receptions are at 3.5 if you would rather take that. Fantasy score looks good at 8, but if we take a look here at the at Daily Grind, at the DFS optimizer, this is kind of that time of year where we utilize the optimizer, but sometimes we just got to go with our gut, and that's what I'm doing in this situation. Also, his targets at 5 look really good too, but I just don't know how the game is going to go as far as clock management. So I like these receiving yards at 34.5. It is favored to go under slightly at 50.63% odds to hit the under, minus 120. There are other platforms that have it down at 32.5. I just don't think that they believe what they saw last week, but I've been high on him for a while. So I believe he's not going to do that every game, but I think that that's something that they're going to go back to because it was so successful last time. So I like this to go over. I'm taking it at 34.5 on Prize Picks, 33.5 on Underdog. We already talked briefly about the matchup. If you guys do want to check out this optimizer, it's a great tool. This is with a partner of ours called Daily Grind, and it does all the work for you as far as getting all the data you need to find plays. It searches plays, it's telling me this reception's under is their favorite play. I'm not taking that personally. It shows you an odds to hit that gives you a little percentage score there, shows you all the other platforms that have this prop and what the line is at, what the odds are at on that platform. So it gives you just a lot of information to piece together your slips. They also have an AI slip generator that makes the entire slip for you using AI, obviously. And it's really killer. You can just press a button, it'll just load up a slip for you in Prize Picks. So if you want to check any of that stuff out, use code BACKDOOR at dgfantasy.com. They'll give you 25% off for as long as you want to make your first subscription. Lock it in for the full NFL season. Take advantage of that 25%. That's what I would do. And if you like playing basketball, you can lock it in for the basketball season as well. Just make sure you lock it in now because that 25% is only for your first purchase. So yeah, dgfantasy.com, link in the description if you want to check it out. Let's talk about Braylon Allen here. So this kid is looking like a stud. Like they've got a legit backup running back for Breece. And I don't know if it's even going to show up here, but Braylon Allen's got to be on here. I was going to pull up Sleeper real quick. Oh yeah, so Braylon Allen. If we take a look at Braylon Allen, I apologize if it's not displaying, but in his first game, he had an 18% snap share, 1 attempt for 8 yards, which is great, 1 target, and he pulled that down, 1 reception, 9 yards. That's in two plays essentially that he got to play, and his 2 opportunities he was very successful with. So the next game we got a 35% snap share, 7 rush attempts, 33 yards, so 4.7 a carry is great. He got a touchdown, and then he got 4 targets, pulled down 2 receptions for 23 yards and a touchdown. So this kid is just balling with every opportunity he has. So if he's knocking this out on like 18 and 35% of the snap share, there's a lot of narratives I could build on why he should be able to go over 8.5 receiving yards.
20 years old is so crazy.
Yeah, this kid is so good. And it's not like he's the type, he's not going to take over the lead role from Breece. Breece is an absolute monster, but this kid is like very complimentary. And if they get up by a lot and, and they're running the clock and they don't want to risk Breece getting injured, they'll just give this kid the snaps. He's a good enough back where they're like, yeah, he can close the game for us. But God forbid they actually are trailing in this game for a little bit. He's so successful with the receptions that I think they're going to give him some targets. He got 4 targets on 35% of snaps last week. So I feel really good about this. And if we look at this soft spot for the Patriots, they're actually really solid in rushing against running backs. That's part of the reason why I do also like that Breece rush attempts, because yeah, Breece is always capable of breaking one off, but they might have to, get the passing game involved for these running backs, because the Patriots do have a soft spot here at 25th against receiving yards all around, and then 17th in receiving yards allowed to running backs. So 8.5, this kid is very capable. I think he could get this done on 1 reception. Like we saw, he went for 8 yards on his first reception. If he gets 2 receptions in this game, he's going to crush this line. So this just feels like a gimme, especially at 8.5 on Underdog. So those are the 2 I'm going to be rolling with for this slate. And if you guys want to check out this app Outlier, it's great. It just gives you all of the details to really vet a play before you pull the trigger on it. So they're a partner of ours as well. If you want to try this out, they're just going to let you try it for free. Just go through the link in the description of the video. It says Outlier. And they're just going to sign up and get a 7-day free trial. You can use it for a week, get the full Sunday slate, and see how you like it. All right, Jordy, pass it over, bro.
Yeah, so to get into mine, I'm going to be taking Rhamondre Stevenson for over the 3.5 receiving targets. Like Russo talked about, it is a 38.5 over-under with the Patriots or the Jets favored by 6. So I like the idea of Rhamondre getting more targets because of being down, and I like Breece, the idea of Breece getting the rushing attempts to control the game. So that's the narrative I'm going with. Hopefully that the game script is right here, and this is going to be accurate. I think the Jets are going to win. I think they're a better team. I think they kind of clean things up. I think it's going to be a close game. I think the 38.5 over under is a very decent point there. I think we'll be lucky to get to a 40-point over under in this game. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just a total barn burner. That's kind of what we've been getting with these primetime games, though. It's been super sluggish for like the first 3 quarters, and then you got Kirk Cousins just absolutely taking it to him in the last minute of the 4th. So Rhamondre Stevenson over 3.5 targets. I like this one regardless. I think he's going to be heavily involved in the passing game again. Now, I do think Antonio Gibson is looking a lot better here too. I did like Antonio Gibson's rushing yards, just as like a little thing you guys can take a look at, but I'm not going to say that's an official play. I like this Rhamondre targets the best. Over the last 2 games of the season so far, Rhamondre has gotten 3 targets, and then he had 5 in the last game against Seattle. They were down in that game. They started targeting him really heavily in the last bit of the game there. So I kind of like the same idea here, where the Jets are controlling the game, and then Rhamondre is being involved in the passing game. I just hope this isn't one of those games where it's like the Jets control 9 minutes of offense, and then the Patriots are trying to put together a really quick play in the last couple seconds of the quarter, because that's how these games have been lately. It's been kind of rough to get right because they're giving us these high over unders, and then we're getting, you know, these really slow paced run games in defensive matchups. So I do like the targets because of that reason. I think this is a pretty safe play regardless. You know, he's getting, if we look at his target share here, he's being involved in 12% of the target share here, so 30.8 of the passing plays he's been involved in here. So he is being involved in passing plays. That's good. 5 targets is plenty. That's all we need here. So hopefully we can just get over that 3.5 mark. You know, 4 even would be just fine. So we're going to take that one. If we look at this on the optimizer here for daily grind, where is it at? I see it here somewhere. The receiving targets is it's just slightly to go over. It's actually just a 50-50. It's a -128 to go over or under, so it's truly a 50-50. I like the idea of it going over. His receiving yards are only at 14.5. If you guys like that better, if you think he's just going to catch every single ball. The passing to the running backs has looked a little sketchy. I do like the receptions at 2.5, so if those come out at any point, take that for sure. I like that on underdog. But if you think that he's just going to get 15 yards on like a catch or two, go ahead and take the receiving yards. I like both, but I think the targets is just a little safer in case they get sailed over his head or something stupid like that. So yeah, liking the receiving targets there. I'm going to be taking that one for over 3.5, and then on underdog we're obviously taking the receptions at 2.5, like I said. And then the next one, I like Breece for over the 15 rush attempts. He didn't hit this line in the last game because of the Braylon Allen stuff. So if that scares you a little bit, you don't have to take it. But I think they're going to lean a little bit more on Breece Hall here. It's a really, really tough matchup. I think Braylon Allen's absolutely going to be involved, and he looks so good in the passing game that I think that is definitely a given. I love that play too. I'm going to have that in like every slip, so fingers crossed on Braylon Allen for sure. But Breece Hall, I think he's going to be the game controller. I think that's kind of what they showed in the last game too. It's like, okay, let's bring Braylon Allen in for the juice. Let's give this kid, he's fresh all the time, because, you know, he's not getting these lengthy possessions like Breece Hall is, but they're putting him in there to make a big play, and that's what he's doing a lot of the time. So I like Breece to be kind of the game controlling back still. So I think the 15 line is super low. I think 15.5 is low too. He only went for 16 against San Francisco, but they were even down that entire game. So they were only ahead for like 1 possession. He still went for 16. And then in this last game against Tennessee, they kind of were in control of that game for the most part. So they obviously, you know, involved the passing work a lot more. There's a lot of things I like on the Jets side that I'm just scared to take, like Mike Williams. I'm going to throw him in there just in case, but I think it's the Jets passing game has looked very questionable so far. So I really like Breece Hall. I think even they feel that way because they're giving all these backs so much work. So, I mean, the last time he played New England, he had 37 rushing attempts. That is insane. I don't think we'll see that number. Maybe we do. I think we're going to see at least 20 or more for Breece Hall. 37 is absolutely insane. He must have been in the ice bath for weeks after that. But yeah, I feel great about this play. And if we look at this one on Daily Grind, thought I had this pulled up, but sometimes it refreshes on me here. They have the rush attempts favored to go over at a -122 and a 50.88% chance to hit the over on this one. So like I said, I feel good about the game script. I think it's the most logical game script that the Jets go up and they just feed their running backs. And I think Ramondre is going to be heavily targeted. So that is going to be the 2 plays I'm going with. I did see a lot of juicy things over on Chalkboard, like they have Breece's rush attempts at 15. I'm gonna go bump those up. I think that is just gonna be an easy bump up, and I think that one will be fun to have on there. And then Ramondre's targets are also out there. His receptions are also out there at 2.5, so I might bump that up to like 3.5. I'm definitely bumping up Hunter Henry's receiving yards, I can promise you that. So if you guys want to go check out Chalkboard, it's a lot of fun. If you are not understanding what I'm talking about, Chalkboard has all these different alt lines that you can take. So if you think, I don't know if Ramondre is going to get 3.5 or 4 targets, I'm going to bump him down to 2.5. That way, if he gets 3, I cash. You're just going to get a lower multiplier for hitting that lower, like alt line there, but if you were like, oh, I think Rhamondre is going to get 6 or 7 targets, you can bump that up to 4.5 or 5.5 and get like a 3 or a 4x on that play sometimes. So I mean, me and Russo have made completely YOLO sometimes where we have like 147x on like 8 plays. You don't have to go that hard, but it just shows you how high you can get on multipliers. And also Underdog's doing that now too, which is really fun on the mobile app. But if you guys want to check out Chalkboard and diversify the platforms you're playing on, use the link in the description or just use code backdoor at checkout, and they'll match your first deposit up to $100, and they will give you a free pick to help you cash your first slip. And that's going to cover all my stuff for today, and I'll pass it over to Russo now.
All right. Yeah, and you may have mentioned it, but Chalkboard runs like 6 specials a day.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that this time.
But man, it's always killer. It's usually the type, like they'll either give you like a super discounted play, or they'll give you like a play at its normal line with like basically like a normal line, but give you like 2x for it.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun. I always try to take advantage of those. If you guys want to come join our Discord, we've been having a lot of fun in here. We've got more analysts in here. We've got like, I don't know, it's just a really great community. Everybody's in good spirits now that football's back. We've been working together as a community, putting plays together. We watch the games and, you know, hop in the chat and build out second half slips is always fun. We'll definitely be doing that tomorrow night. But if you want to come join us, just go through the Patreon link in the description of the video and sign up through Patreon. Then you just go into the Patreon settings, and then under the connected apps section, you just connect your Discord. It's real simple. If you decide to do that, make sure you hop in the community chat of Discord and let us know you're new, just so we can show you around and make sure that you're welcomed and that you get the most out of the Discord. But we really appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll be covering starts of the week tomorrow for our fantasy football show, if you guys are playing fantasy. And I was going to say, we've talked briefly about the Falcons game, but man, shout out Kirk Cousins. That was such an incredible drive, like a minute 30 left. And then he just goes the length of the field. And I was calling, like Jordy and I were watching that game together, and I was just like calling for like, you guys need to speed up the offense. Let's get like a faster pace going here.
Yep.
And I think that they play great in those types of situations. I know it's like a 2-minute drill, you know, you're like trying to keep the clock from bleeding too much away, but I think that they should just turn things up a little bit, because Kirk looks much better when he's just like moving a little bit quicker. So very exciting end to that game. Really cool to see them get that dub at the very end there. But anyways, that's really not relevant at this point, but we'll be covering everything tomorrow. We'll do like a preview for this game and give you all of our favorite starts of the week coming into Sunday. So make sure you tune into that. We appreciate you guys checking out this show. Give us a like on the way out, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Good luck, guys.